which is the report from the working groups, of which there are several in multitude. So, Alish.
Yep. So kind of by omission, I ended up doing this slide deck talking about the advisory board. We called it a working group because it fit nicely on our organization, but it's not like, yeah, there's a whole group working on it. It's been mostly Anika. So if Anika is here, thank you very much helping us there. So let's see what we've been doing. So the advisory board, what we do is we have a number of organizations that are part of it. Some of them are patrons. It's one of the perks you get as a patron to be part of this advisory board. And we have some other sister organizations. We went through them before. And the idea is to keep them up to date with the different things that we can do with the idea of, let's see if we can collaborate at any level. So we've been having meetings every 4 to 6 months. We had one in October, for example. We're talking about the events, the things that were happening in KDE. Another one in April. April was after the 6 release, right? So we were talking about how it all happened. Some of the people on the advisory board are from the distro, so they were talking about the like how they were adopting it and so on and so forth. Etc. We also had updates from KDE Echo. Something we do, for example, is when there's something interesting happening in our project, then we'll invite somebody. We had Joseph this year. We had Kai at some point also, and talked about what they were working on. So like the different partners are also aware of these things happening. Like this is very important, right? Because otherwise, like it's very hard for all of these organizations to follow what we do. But it's a good way to like put that forward. And if they have something to latch on, then we can do. We had another one in July. We talked about Krita. We talked about the different conferences. Kai Uwe, for example, he joined and talked about the amazing things we were doing in Plasma 6. At this point, it was already all released and ready, right? And we're going to have another one in a few weeks. And yeah, thank you very much, Anika, for putting that together. How can you help? One thing that we do as advisory board, besides these meetings, is we assign each of these partners with a person from the KDE who is knowledgeable about everything we do. The idea is that these organizations don't need to like reach out to the board or something like that whenever they have some kind of question or doubt or idea, right? So if you are their partner, you can say, well, have regular conversations with them if you're familiar with what they do, etc. Right? And if you know an organization that should be part of the board, then convince them, tell us, and we can see to it. For next year, the idea is to continue doing the more or less the same things, to continue meeting, make sure that things that we discuss matter to them. Like it's especially interesting and important in these kind of meetings to make sure that they care about what we're talking about, so that they like keep continuing joining the meetings, because obviously it's a good opportunity for all of us. So yeah. Whoop. And yeah, you can reach out to us. You can reach out to the board about different topics. The advisory board contacts KDE.org mailing list. This one is for the KDE side of things. So if you have an idea and you want to discuss it with the advisory board, but obviously only our people, you can do it over there. Do so. Don't hesitate. Now the community working group, who is going to do that presentation? Are you from the community working group?
Yes, I guess I am the community working group today, anyway. So, the community working group takes care of KDE's community members. It enables the KDE community to work effectively and efficiently by helping community members maintain healthy interactions and resolving conflicts. We have 2 new active members this year. Kai Potter, who is from Australia. He's not here, probably because he's very far away. Me. We have 2 existing members, Andy Betts. I haven't seen him here yet, but I think he's going to be here. And Neophytos. He's right there. David Edmondson stepped down. He was here last year. Some of our work in the past year was we created internal guidelines for reaching out to people on Matrix. We received a total of 41 requests since AGM 2023, which is 10 times more than the previous year. 37 of those were complaints. 5 community members had more than one complaint. One was a bogus complaint from someone outside of our community against a community member, and we unbanned one community member. We are one person shy of a full community working group. Having another member would enable us to respond and work on our goals more quickly. It's the kind of work that a lot of people don't really want to do, but kind of needs to get done. Some of our goals and plans for the coming year are to standardize the onboarding process for new CWG members. It was a bit chaotic having like 2 new members with like not a lot of, senior people. Define requirements for joining the CWG. Mainly just like, make sure you don't have someone insane on the board or something, or on the working group. Define guidelines for removing community members if they do something like really bad or something. Define a policy for giving updates for requests. So when people send a request, we have to say, oh, this is the situation. Promote the CWG within KDE so people know about it. And chain the mailing list to avoid confusion with community@kde.org. We had someone make that mistake and make a public complaint. All right. And if you want to talk to us, you can send us an email address at that suspiciously similar email address, or talk to us during Academy. And that's not my report there.
All right, let's see. Okay, the financial working group. So the financial working group exists to assist KDEV in its financial matters. It acts as a sounding board for the board and the treasurer in particular. We review important documents. Sometimes we write them, including this report, or, for example, the financial information that is published in KDEV's annual report. We also do some software development. We develop the web-based dashboard application that KDEV uses to track its finances. The current members of the financial working group are myself as the treasurer of KDEV, who is always included in the financial working group, as well as Marta, who was the previous treasurer of KDEV. And it's really great that she's still around and we have a lot of continuity when it comes to the financial side of the organization, as well as Till, who of course has also been involved with KDEV for many decades and is very experienced in business and financial matters. Looking back at the past year, you fortunately hear me say this often, or others who speak to you in this occasion, it's been a stable year with no major negative surprises. Sometimes we also say uneventful. And what we mean with that is that nothing happened that we were not able to predict, at least nothing that put any undue strain on the organization. This is very important given our current financial operational strategy, which is that we intentionally operate at a deficit. We outspend our income because we have very high financial reserves from past donations that under non-profit law we are not allowed to keep. So that means that we are intentionally outspending, and we want to, of course, track this very, very well so that we don't accidentally end up with a burn rate that becomes unsustainable. So it is great to hear maybe that our income in the past year was just within €500 of our projection. For the second year in a row, it was very close to the prediction. That means that we have a really good handle on that side of our finances. We know what will happen. Our expenses tend to be below what we actually put into our budget plan because we budget plan with sort of a high watermark approach. We assume that allocated money will be spent completely, even though particular projects might not actually manage to do this. So we prepare for the worst. And then we have sort of a min and a max there. And again, our expenses were entirely within the range of our expectations, even though they did not actually hit that high watermark. We mentioned already in the board report that fundraising has been going great, particularly our supporting membership program. Our income increased significantly due to that. So did our expenses, again, as planned. They're mainly personnel expenses where we have many tuning screws due to the way that we contract. If things should one day not work out, we can scale there fairly easily. Of course, we don't want to do that, but we can. The reason this keeps climbing is that we are traveling again, but also many positions that we've created in past years have now for the first time been filled for an entire year. So, of course, those expenses accumulate. Academy 2023 set a new sponsorship record by some margin. It was really great. Thanks so much to the sponsors of last year's conference. That said, organizing it was also very expensive, so it was largely offset. This is a big change from Academy in the past when we used to use Academy as a source of income. We used to make quite a bit of money with the conference. Now our goal is mostly to break even. You could say open source or free software, we are now so established that nobody gives us stuff for free anymore, which used to be more the case with Academy, but these days, for example, venue costs are much higher. As you can see, broadly speaking, our income is growing year by year. This reflects the overall growth of the organization and also its sort of activity profile. As you know, we have many contractors now that we didn't have in the past. We have more things to fund. And fortunately, our income trajectory is generally going well. The same on the expenses side. Obviously, with more activities, things are expensive. Contractors are expensive. So that is also going up. You can see here the ratio between income and expenses. You can see here the strategy that I talked about, that intentionally in the past 2 years, we have outspent our income to deaccumulate our financial reserve. Our goal now for the running year is to make that gap smaller. We are now taking the first steps to limit our expense growth and to lower our burn rate, so that hopefully by 2026, 27, with an increase in fundraising, we end up breaking even again, and then we can take aim at further growth of the organization. In pie chart form, you see things are not that complicated. Really, most of our expenses are personnel. The income pie chart is the one that has more significantly changed. If you look in years past, there used to be an almost even 50-50 split between donations from organizations, such as our corporate patrons, and individuals. And now the patronage side is dwarfed by the individual donations because the supporting membership program has been going so well. But you've also heard that the board plans to change the way that our patron program works a bit. So maybe there will be some more changes to this pie chart going forward. The budget plan has been done by the treasurer and the financial working group, and we expect to grow our income significantly with the fundraising. We now have new tools. Our dashboard can project the income channels that we have on the donation side. And also there we have sort of a min-max, and even with conservative projections, we should be growing our income quite a bit. This again allows us to lower our burn rate, in addition with some steps to limit our expense growth. And the ultimate goal is that in the 26-27 timeframe, we're even again. Things are on track with regard to that. So far, the year is looking great. Sponsorship continues well. Academy sponsorship is not as high as last year, but we expected this. It's a tough year for conferences. We've heard the same from other conference teams. Almost done. A bit closer so people. It's kind of dying, I tried to, but it's been lowering in volume over time. So at some point I gave up. You've heard for many years that we would like to dissolve our US-based KDE satellite organization, the KDE League, and that we expect also its remaining money then to be disseminated to us. The dissolution has finally passed. We don't have the money yet, but we expect it sort of any minute now. Where in the pace that is going at, it will probably be next year, but it's good news all the same. All right, tools, I already talked about it. Our dashboard is doing great, and it's now doing better things with donations. That allows us to forecast things and keep an even closer eye on how our income is developing. So thanks for the people who work on that tool. All right, and then handing off to the fundraising working group. Maybe it works better for you.
Yeah. So fundraising working group. Yeah. So where we are and what we do, like you can say, currently alone. We had a few members leaving the working group this year. So I'm now looking for new volunteers to join the working group and help fundraising. What we do is coordinate the execution of the fundraising campaigns. We had a lot of help from the promo team, Paul and Annika. Yeah, and we maintain and improve the technical infrastructure, which was CVCRM past years. Not anymore. Yeah. So now there's a bit less work on the technical infrastructure. Just updating the websites with some, but nothing much more. Yeah, I mean, like last year we had the Plasma 6 fundraising campaign, which was a success, as you can see by the financial report. We also shut down CVCRM, which was a bit of a pain, and it's good that we are done with that. Yeah, I mean, I think Ben is quite happy about that. Yeah, and yeah. Success stories, like we increase the number of recurrent donations, but also like one-time donations thanks to the donor box. I mean, the Plasma 6 campaign was like a really success. We had a plan at the beginning like to have like 500 or 250 new members, and we managed to go a lot higher. Yeah, and that's like what we learned is that posting often about the fundraising and campaigns and asking people often to do donations actually work. Like if you ask people to donate, many of them will do that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, like join the working group, we need help. And yeah. And if you do blog posts, don't forget to mention what we are asking. You can do donation to KDE for. Yeah. And I think that's it. No. Yeah, and at least my plan would be like to do a fundraising campaign again in December. We already had like with Plasma, there's a notification which will appear in December. We should remind you to do a donation, and let's try to also do that in the social media and other places to see. Yeah. If you want to talk to us, you can either talk to me or there's a Matrix room, which is public, and email address for mailing list. Yeah, that's it.
Hello. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm Albert, and I'm here to report on the KDE Free Qt Foundation Working Group and on the Free Qt Foundation. It's two things very similar, not the same. So what do we do? It's a working group with lots of people, right? So there's me and Olaf, which are the actual people which are part of the Free Qt KDE Foundation, together with other two folks from the Qt group. And then there's Chris, David, AK, Frederick, Martin, and Victoria, which help us shape our communications with the foundation, right? It's like we are good friends with the Qt group, but it's always, when you're doing things at a more official level, it's always a good thing to have your message not be, hey, dude, how are you doing, right? It's better if you come across a bit more professional. So what did we do last year? we have a group in Matrix, and we had a few discussions there. Nothing super important. We have a few live calls on meetkde.org. I think we didn't have many this year. That's a good thing. Not many things happened, so we didn't have to do many calls. We have not met yet formally with the foundation. So with the Qt group people, like the four of us, haven't met yet at the time of writing, and not at the time of today either. So this is something we're gonna do this year at some point. We have to like meet and approve the taxes and all those boring things that foundations do. We had an informal talk on the Qt Contributor Summit last year and also this year, but yeah, this was like 2 days ago, so it didn't make it into the slides. Lessons learned. So yeah, we're in good relations with them. No news is good news, right? So the foundation, like the Free KDE Qt Foundation, is a foundation that exists for when bad shit happens. So no bad shit has been happening, so that's good. The working group continues to be a great help for both me and Olaf, which are the official people on the foundation. So yeah, it's great that we have this working group. We have increased collaboration at the technical level between KDE and Qt group, right? So not something we do at all, but like there's more people from KDE contributing to Qt, which is a good thing because the more communication, the less bad blood, right? So no, they did that. So no, yeah, okay. If you talk to people, you realize we're all friends. So yeah, that's good. Obstacles during the year. We had a very big obstacle, which is we lost access to our bank account. The foundation has a bank account. It got blocked because of reasons. If you wanna pay me a beer, I will explain you what happened. But it's like, well, there was churn in the foundation, there was churn in the bank, there was churn in the Qt company people, and some of the messages that the bank sent, we didn't see them, and blah blah blah. So yeah, we're working on getting access back. That was what we wrote on July. An update is that the bank account is not blocked anymore, which is a good thing. We don't have access to it yet, which is not a great thing, right? But we're halfway in the middle of resolving the thing. I mean, the main problem is the foundation is set up in Norway, but none of the people from the foundation live in Norway nowadays. I'm in Barcelona. The Qt people are in Finland, and Olaf is somewhere in Germany, I think. So when you have to go physically somewhere and it's far away, not so easy. But we'll get it fixed. Where we need help. I mean, if you could live in Norway, that would be amazing. But like you're not gonna change your place of living just to help us. So yeah, we didn't add that to the slides. Yeah, just continue being what you're doing, right? Continue building good relationships with it's not the Qt company anymore, it's the Qt group. But yeah, talk to them. You don't have to even pretend you're part of the working group or not. Just be nice people and say, hey, I'm from KDE and I want to help. Do that. You're doing it. It's great. So yeah, keep doing that. And I think that was no, there's more slides. Okay. Key goals for the next year. Yeah, just basically what I said, right? Keep doing what you're doing and fixing the bank account, right? This is really important. I'm the chairman of the foundation. I don't want to go to jail just because we didn't present the taxes on time. So eventually this needs to be fixed. And yeah, talk to us. What do we do? So if you're interested in Qt licensing, talk to us. If you're basically anything related to Qt, right? So talk to us. Who's here? It's basically only me and David Redondo, I think. But otherwise, we have a mailing list, and there's a matrix, IRC. Just you find the name of the people here and talk to us, right? Oh, Victoria's here. Sorry, forgot about you. So yeah, talk to us. And then this is admin. That's you, right?
Thank you. Hopefully I didn't get this too long, but we'll see how we go. So what have we been doing? Well, continuous integration basically being the rock star of this year. Lots going on. Previously, we had some issues where if you did a craft build, it would hit Web Engine. Web Engine likes memory, likes lots of memory. And it would cause an out of memory error, would crash VMs, cause lots of issues. So we introduced some new high memory workers. They have 128 gigs of RAM. So Web Engine build issues no more. Windows and FreeBSD builds don't crash anymore, and life is good. We also introduced the Notary service, which the board was kind enough to fund. That's what Ingo spent his time on. So we now have all of our signing stuff for Windows, for Mac, for Flatpaks, the website deployments, all that other fun stuff is done using the Notary service. It keeps the signing keys away from your CI jobs, but still lets the CI jobs have things done that need signing or privilege. Really good way of separating secure stuff you need to keep private from general CI stuff because the builders can't be trusted. Those builders run everyone's jobs. Anyone random can register an account, log in, essentially start running CI builds on them. They can't be trusted. The keys can never go anywhere near them, which is one of the big problems with the binary factory. Those signing keys were on the builders. No more. The binary factory is now gone, dead, finished, shut down and gone. Very happy about that. Jenkins was a bit of a nightmare, but it's gone now. FreeBSD builds. They transitioned to running as podmin containers. That involved doing a bit of work with upstream. Patches went into 2 different bits of FreeBSD, I believe. I can't remember how many I had to do. I think it was 2 or 3. Yes, GitLab, and it was Podman itself. So now all the FreeBSD builds you've noticed don't fall over anywhere near as much as they used to. They now just run and work reliably. Although it wasn't perfect, Kdevelop does some really weird things in their tests, and they still managed to hang the processes with what htop shows as a T, and eventually means you have to reboot the worker. Apparently, even containerization can't save us from everything. And we also had some first steps towards adding support for Alpine or Musel-based builds, which I understand helps with a bunch of embedded stuff. And there was a huge amount of planning and research towards VM-based builds, which we essentially need for snaps. You can't build snaps in anything other than a VM. If you try and put any kind of container around the snap build process, it just doesn't work. It blows up horribly. And the same thing happens with Flatpak. You can sort of hack around it, but it doesn't work very well. And you certainly can't run the result in Flatpak. So we're getting closer towards that. You might think it's easy, but it's not. All the kind of existing stuff that sits out there is designed around public cloud usage. So your Google Cloud, your AWS, your DigitalOcean, or your Google one. We don't have that. And of course, there was also a lot of queries from various developers around CI jobs. And then we had a whole bunch of other stuff regarding the general infrastructure. We replaced our GitLab server. Previously, it was a container running on one of our servers, but GitLab kind of outgrew that. It's now sitting on its own iron. It's been working pretty well. We've been seeing some overload issues lately. I've seen people complaining about it. I'm keeping an eye on it. It looks like we've got a bunch of bots that are like spidering it, probably for AI stuff. I've been blocking them. I whacked a Google IP range the other day. It was Google themselves indexing us, interestingly. We migrated to DNS control along with CloudNS managed DNSSEC. Previously, we had an awful setup with bind and DNSSEC, and occasionally bind would get confused, and I'd have to update the DNSSEC keys by hand. It was all kind of awful and fiddly, and setting up new domains was a real pain. DNS control and CloudNS makes it an absolute breeze. It means we don't have to have a DNSSEC keys sitting on one of our servers that was getting old and unmaintained and was a out-of-date release of Debian anyway. We rolled out a release keyring, which means now for those of you who are distributions going, where do I find a contributor's GPG key? There's a Git repository you can go to. They should all be in there. If you are someone who independently releases your own software, please make sure your key is in there. It's at sysadmin/release-keyring on GitLab. We retired Civi CRM. Woo! And there's a bunch of other CMS instances that are in the process of being retired as well. Crit has moved towards being a Hugo-based site now, and I believe KDE Live is starting to move slowly but surely down that road. So even WordPress is going to be extinct soon. And I think we've only got 2 Drupal 7 instances left. I'll be happy to see the back of those. And we also went through the process of registering with Microsoft to be able to do a bunch of Office 365 integration. They are so much easier to deal with than all of the other lot. Hats out to the people at Microsoft who make that life easy, because the others are a nightmare. And there's been quite a bit of significant work put into planning for new infrastructure. We're looking at moving away from LXC-based containers on bare metal that we do now towards using Proxmox hypervisors and a cluster to make lives a bit easier, because a lot of software these days demands being Docker, essentially demands being its own VM. Even the likes of Discourse, you would think you can have multiple Discourse instances on the same server. Nah, it's not compatible. Key goals and plans for the coming year. Got quite a bit on. I do want to finally retire Fabricator. The only thing left in there now is tasks. Get that over to GitLab, then we can get rid of that. For the curious fact, for the people who aren't aware of it, the Fabricator database is a couple hundred gigabytes because it's got a copy of SVN in it. And I'd really like to get rid of it, because if something happens, restoring from backups will be near on impossible. I don't want to even think about it. I want to start provisioning the new infrastructure and starting to migrate all our services over to it, consolidating a bunch of stuff, getting rid of the old servers, moving towards current and up-to-date LTS versions. We've got a mixture of various 2204, 2004. I think there's some 1804 out there as well, unless you're talking about Fabricator, which is on 1604. And moving continuous integration over to being VM-based, which is easier said than done. I could give a whole talk on that one. That will be, we'll see how we go with that. And we'll also be looking to migrate away from DigitalOcean. Our cluster will take over the duties of hosting the stuff that's currently there. There's not a huge amount of stuff there, thankfully, but we'll see how we go. Oh, and there's also the email infrastructure. That is quite old and decrepit at this point. We're on Mailman 2 still, which is basically unsupported. Likely looking at a move to Mailman 3 there and changing a few other bits and pieces. The contact us slide kind of speaks for itself. You know where to find us, and you can certainly know where to find me, because I'll be around this week. But any questions?